What's going on, people? Hope everyone's good. Yeah, the fight was bad. I'm not gonna lie, but it's weird because I'm happy and I'm angry at the same time with how that fight went. I'm happy for Ben. I feel like he was hard done by in the first fight. Considering how this fight went now, I feel like a draw would have been more fair. But obviously, that would have taken away from Chris Eubank's success and the repaired relationship with his father. So maybe that wouldn't have been the best thing to do. But this rematch, do you know what I mean? This is how I felt about the Canelo Crawford fight, because yes, it was a dominant performance from one fighter, but it was nothing like the first fight. It wasn't a back and forth, brutal, classic fight. It wasn't that. It was a one-sided domination, you know. And not taking anything away from Conor Benn, he didn't beat the best Chris Eubank. We can all see that. I don't know what happened to Chris. I don't know if it's because he's having children, the weight cut, but the weight cut was fine the first fight. I don't know what it was, but he was struggling. I mean, there's not a lot to review, really. Conor was working, different angles, chopping shots, all sorts. He was the aggressor. He was on the front foot for the majority of the fight. And Chris, he had his moments here and there. I'll be surprised if he won more than 3 rounds, and that's being generous. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's how bad it was, guys. Like, it was that bad, It was nothing like the first fight. There was no desire, really, And I don't want to get into what was said in the press conference after, but I feel like one of the pundits hit the nail on the head with regards to getting his father's approval. Maybe that dimmed him a bit. Maybe the first fight took a lot out of him. Who knows? But Conor was on it, He then knocks him down twice in the last round. If there was one more round, he would have got him out of there, 100%. Chris was tired, he was exhausted, he was weight drained possibly, yes, but this is what he agreed to. People can't start making excuses for him, man. He agreed to this. There are no excuses. I'm sorry. His shoulder could have been broken, his leg could have been broken. He should have pulled out the fight. I'm sorry. I don't like to hear excuses after it's all said and done. Oh, but I had this, I had a cold, No, don't do that. Do you know what I mean? And I do respect Chris for afterwards saying, this is Conor's night, no excuses. But he did allude to something wasn't right. And I'm sure we'll hear about that in the following days or weeks. But again, it doesn't matter to me. Anything could have happened. It doesn't matter. You're a boxer. You've been doing this for a long period of time. You need to set aside whatever's going on, focus. And I know it's easier said than done for me that's not in the sport. But come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a no-brainer when you're in a fight of this caliber to lock in and focus. But yeah, I mean, I predicted Ben to win. People will say how or why. It's common sense to me. The first fight was very, very close. That was the first time Conor Benn fought at that weight. Chris Eubank had to go to hospital, and it was a very serious situation, him going to hospital. And Conor Benn said he was in the gym the next day. So based on that, that was his first fight. This is going to be his second fight. He's going to be more used to the weight, so on and so forth. Better game plan. Yeah, I gave it to Conor Benn, but I severely miscalculated the extent to which he would dominate this fight. It wasn't even close, I wouldn't have watched it. I wouldn't have stayed up and watched it had I have known it would have went like that. I really wanted to see round 13, And again, I can just compare it to Crawford versus Canelo. I was very disappointed with that fight. Why? Crawford's just too good. That's why that fight went the way it went, Crawford just shut that down. But it was built as a classic. It was built to be a classic back and forth battle for the ages, and it wasn't that, like this fight. Like the first fight was, but it wasn't. So yeah, props to Conor Benn, to the Benn family for getting that W in this rivalry. I don't want to see a third fight. This was a decisive win. There's no reason for the third fight. It will only get worse for Chris, I feel. But yeah, it wasn't that much of a great fight. If you're a Conor Benn fan, it was an amazing fight for you, but it wasn't really what we saw in the first fight. That's my total honesty on this whole situation. But big up Conor Benn, the Benn family. They got that W.